Hey everyone, welcome to our Monday night call. I am so excited to introduce my friend Leah to you all. She is coming from Ohio to share with us. We do have quite a big team in the Midwest, Leah, over in Michigan, Indiana. So you're right at home over there. Leah is a retired nurse. She is a Sapphire ambassador, and she is one of 7 jewels in like her area, which is pretty awesome. Leah, you didn't say, are those jewels all in your own team, or are those just like local plexus jewels?
They are all on our team. We're all kind of not necessarily in a row because some of us are sidelines, but we're all close together.
Very fun. She is also a mama. So she's a busy girl, but she time be extremely successful in this business. And I'm just going to hand it over to Leah. She and I met at Leadership Excellence back in May officially. And then of course we saw each other a little bit in more at the airport than anything in Hawaii. Like I heard her sponsor is a diamond, and she shared her story at in Hawaii with us, and I was so inspired by just the way their team is incredible with duplication and how it's just like been one of those like ripple effects for their whole team. So I just wanted to reach out to her, and she agreed to share with us. So I'm going to hand her over the reins. She's going to share a little bit of her story, why she started Plexus, maybe talk about some duplication things that you do, and then maybe if you have time to do a few answers to any questions that might come up, and then we'll let you go.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you guys so much for having me. Like Katie said, I am a Sapphire. I never dreamed that this would be my life. I thought for sure that I would be working as a nurse until I was old enough to retire, and that was just going to be my life. I had kind of accepted that and never dreamed bigger. But when I joined Plexus, my eyes were opened to something completely different. And I'm so, so thankful for this business. I joined Plexus. I was 3 weeks postpartum with my 3rd baby. So I had just delivered and was still on maternity leave. And my friend Brooke started sharing about gut health, and pretty quickly I caught on. I was like, oh, I need all of those things. I want to lose weight. Postpartum, I just wasn't feeling comfortable in my body at the time. We had a beach vacation coming up, and I just wanted to feel better. I needed more energy. I was living on coffee and Diet Coke, horrible habits that nurses have because we work weird hours and stay up all night and sleep during the day and try and take care of our families. So I needed energy. And silently, I had been battling with anxiety. No one had really talked about it, or wasn't really talking about it in my circle of people. And it was even the year before I got pregnant with my last baby that I started struggling with this anxiety that was crippling. It kept me at home. I wasn't able to comfortably go to doctor's appointments. I felt claustrophobic when I was shut in the room. I couldn't go on dates. It kept me from wanting to go out to eat with my husband, because what if I didn't feel good? It was horrible. I didn't want to go on vacation because I didn't want to fly. All of these things that just like day to day, it got me so down. I remember not wanting to wake up. I dreaded waking up in the morning. So it was a huge struggle. And pretty quickly, after starting the triplex, within 3 months, I had way better energy. I had improved digestion, all those quick things that happen when you start taking care of your gut. But by that 3-month mark of consistency, I noticed that my anxiety was better. I remember telling my husband, I should be anxious right now, but I'm not. This is really weird. I think this is working. And I kept going. I actually added into my triplex routine, I added Vital Biome, and I added in lean protein and started seeing like weight loss effects too. And by the 6-month mark, I was able to go to a wedding of a family friend and stay out of town in a hotel. And it was like, holy moly. My sponsor was like, Leah, you have to share this. Your story could help somebody. And I have a servant heart. And I was like, okay, this is the last thing I want to do is post on social media, but I'll do it if it'll help someone else who's struggling. So I remember taking a picture at the wedding and writing a post on the way home about my testimony, and 3 people joined me instantly. I think there were probably 20 some comments on my post, and did the 3-way messaging thing with my sponsor. And I went silver and earned a double bonus. And I had no idea what that really meant, but I was excited and happy about it. And I stayed at that mark for probably 6 months. And then at my 1-year mark, she convinced me to take a side-by-side photo, and I posted it. And I mean, I had lost 30 pounds in a year and was feeling much better. So people liked that. And I ended up going gold within that month. It just took off. I think people trusted me as a nurse, and I understood the science of gut health. So that helped. But I went gold, and I remember getting that bonus paycheck when I was getting my hair done at the hairdresser and just bawling, like, what is this? Like, is this for real? And I was hooked. I started watching YouTube trainings. I remember I love Laura Robinson. She's a retired ER nurse, and I just super connected with her story and started watching her trainings and just digging in. And meanwhile, I have a sideline sister. Her name's Lindsay Joseph. She's also a Sapphire now. And we just buddied up. We, became power partners and just started working together as sidelines. And we did that the entire way. We triple ranked senior gold, ruby, senior ruby, all before the Vegas convention in 2019. And of course, we had our ups and downs at the beginning of 2020. My points had fallen back, but then the pandemic hit and Plexus went crazy. And within a couple of months of being all in, realizing that I didn't want to work as a nurse at the bedside through the pandemic anymore, we all just pushed together, rode in the same direction, worked towards common goals, and helped everyone rank up together. And I ended up going emerald in July of 2020, the month following my sideline sister, Lindsay. She went emerald in June. So that pushed our upline to Sapphire. And then a year later, we did the same thing. And Lindsay and I both pushed for Sapphire, which pushed Brooke to diamond. And our momentum, and we all just get in chats and we all share what we're doing. And even though we're not, Lindsay and I have completely separate teams, we're able to work and do the same things. One of those big things that we're doing right now is we kind of had to switch gears, because after Brooke went diamond and all the excitement wore off, we're like, okay, we got to kind of regroup and start over. One of the things we're doing right now is we have a morning rounds chat, and we do these winning day worksheets. They're basic IPA things. I can share this with you in a PDF. But basic things, just commenting on people's posts, making sure that you're showing up in your stories, making sure that you're posting and following up, starting business conversations, and then holding yourself accountable and posting a picture of your sheet into the chat. And that has been so good, because you can do this in 30 minutes a day. It's not anything that's crazy. Obviously, if you want to work above and beyond that, that's great. But just doing this, people are seeing momentum again in their businesses. We all know it goes in waves, but if you do the basic things, if you're growing your network and sharing the business opportunity and helping those people, your business will move forward. You just have to do the things. The only way that you can fail in this business is to quit doing those things. There are times that I have taken breaks and we've gone through things, but I've never quit. And that's why it always comes back and you move forward, and it's great. So I just want to share a couple tips with you guys as far as recruiting. I think that obviously if you have a strong personal testimony, that helps as far as recruiting goes, but transformations or success stories, share those too, because people like to see progress. So I say, pick your story, stick to it. Katie has an awesome health testimony. I'm sure some of you guys do too. I like to talk about anxiety. I like to help the people who might be struggling like I was. I like to help those people who are searching for answers. I so desperately just wanted help. So I am seeking out those people who are wanting help and who are wanting to research gut health. And I'm talking about the link between gut health and all of the things that the gut can control. So I say, pick your story, share about it, talk about it, be passionate about it over and over again, because it takes multiple touches for people to commit. That's my top tip for recruiting. As far as retaining, I really believe that you have to give great customer care. You have to get your people plugged in. You have to check in on them often. And I don't know if you guys use the Boards app, but I have been loving the Boards app. I have a customer care app that I share with all of my people. And then it's easy for them to check in every couple days. They're getting education along with just the check-ins. They're learning about perks and detox right away. I mean, in the beginning, I had no idea about customer care. It took me a long time to figure it out, but I can tell you that my retention is way better now that I know how to check in on people. I also use Project Broadcast. You can do like drip campaigns through Project Broadcast. Tech savvy with that, but it's really easy to share those things. So if that's something you're interested in, it's a small investment, but I think it has a great return as far as retention. As far as duplication goes, I also love the Boards app. It is so easy. I have a board for first posts. I have a board for product posts. And I can just share those boards with people and say, check this out, see if any of them sound good to you. And then we help them share. We also have like, hey, I just bought my reset and I would love 2 or 3 accountability partners to do it with you. You were the first person I thought of. So you can put all of those in a board and it's so easy to shoot them out. So for a long time, I struggled with duplication. I think I got to senior gold pretty much by like recruiting on my own. I might've had a couple silvers in there, but it was pretty much just me recruiting. And once I caught on to duplication and teaching people how to share, it got so much easier to grow my business. It's hard to do that on your own. And we're to the point where this past spring, when we were pushing my upline to diamond and pushing for sapphire, that we had 3 people in the running for silver stars. There were people developing 8, 9 silvers. And I actually had a girl go senior ruby and she earned silver stars. So there's clearly something to be said about sharing the opportunity with everybody and encouraging everyone to share their wins, no matter how small or how big, it's worth sharing. So those are my top tips. Do you guys have any questions? I know that was really fast.
I loved all of that. I just wanted to say, Laura Robinson is one of our immediate uplines.
What?
So just a couple ranks above Joanna. So Joanna Miller here is our immediate diamond.
Yeah.
And Laura's just a couple above her. Yeah. So she's on our team, which is really awesome.
That is so cool. I remember messaging her when I was a gold. Like I literally sent her a friend request and started messaging her like, I just watched this training and whatever. So of course, when I went sapphire, and she saw me on the thing, she messaged me and she's like, will you speak on my call for Jules? So speaking on calls is not my forte. Being like a recovering anxiety person, you know, it's just not my thing. But I was like, okay, she was literally the person that inspired me to do this. There's no way I can say no to her. So I did it.
That's awesome. All right. Anybody have any questions for Leah before we let her hop off? Thank you for all of that. I definitely took notes. I didn't really know much about boards prior to Hawaii. And so I've just been trying to find like boards that are already made or create my own. So I love to pick your brain and maybe swap some.
We can do that.
I have a question. Which how cool is that like the person that I know that feeling of when you like look up to someone so much and then they ask you to be on a call, like you're like, oh, I'm so glad I never quit. Like it was worth it. That's so cool. But my question is, so you say like share the opportunity with everyone. Like how does that look like for you? Like you sign someone up. How do you go about first sharing the opportunity with them?
It kind of depends. If I feel like they're only joining for the products, I'm like, your success is going to be so much better if you do this with someone and someone else is holding you accountable. Because I know how easy it is to let your products sit on the counter and forget about them. But if you're doing it with your best friend or your mom, you're going to be way more likely to be successful. So I have a message. I just enrolled a nurse practitioner that I'm super excited about this morning. And I'm like, let's invite your friends to do this with you. So I wrote up this script for her and I just encourage them to send it and like, send this to your 3 closest people and we'll see what kind of responses we get. So that's kind of whatever. If I know that they joined about the business and aren't afraid to share about the opportunity, we start sharing about the incentives and how much you can earn and all of those things. There's beautiful graphics that people make out there that make sharing that easy. The Nikes are so easy to share about. The Apple Watch is so easy to share about. And every month it's easy to circle back around. It took my sponsor a couple of times of reaching out to me, encouraging me to share, for me to actually say yes. She had invited me to get your products paid for groups in the past, and it just wasn't on my radar, but asking over and over again. And those monthly incentives are so good to reach back out, be like, I know you weren't ready to share last month, but does this interest you? Every month there's something different. So I just say continually ask.
So does that look like messaging them mostly for you or on the phone?
Mostly messaging. I do love voice texting over like Facebook Messenger, because I think that's more personal, but yeah.
Awesome.
Depends on my relationship with them. I try and taproot as much as I can too, because as much as I'm telling my team to share the opportunity, you don't always know if they are. So I'm friend requesting all of the people that are added into our team page, because I want them to see me showing up in my stories and taking my products and loving my products. If their direct sponsor isn't as active, at least they're seeing me and my upline doing those things.
I love that tip, because I used to do that all the time up until like probably senior Ruby. I would friend request like every person that joined. I mean, up until, once you hit like a certain point, but that's a good point though, to like at least your level 2s and 3s, you totally could be doing that. So I love that.
Yep.
Anyone else? I had one thing. I was just curious what customer care, like, so like in the past, we've created like customer care chats for anyone who just joins and put them in there. And then like, instead of having to DM each one personally and being like, hey, like we have this new product come out this month, like you can drop it in there. So it doesn't feel as like targeted. But dripping, or like everyone who shares a picture in here of your pink drink today, it's going to go in a drawing. Like I do fun stuff like that in my customer care chat. But I still feel like I have a customer care chat of a lot of people who have never taken that leap into the business. Like, so as far as that, like, is it just personal one-on-one messages with, like, say you're a big recruiter, say you sign 15 people in a month. You can't really do that long-term and keep up with every person unless you have an incredible system. So like, what's something that you do that helps simplify your customer care?
That's seriously a good idea. I have never done a group customer care chat. The only thing we do a group like chat for that is like the reset. If we have people starting resets on certain dates, we put them in a chat for those 3 days, like a support chat. Which is probably a lot. I have had a VA for almost a year now, but she more just sends me the lists and like puts them into my Google Calendar. My Google Calendar literally has follow-up. It has names on like every single day. She puts them in for what days I need to be doing my follow-ups on. And I go into my boards app and I'm sending the next day.
Okay. My husband has told me forever to use my calendar. And I'm like, I don't want to use the Google Calendar. My phone will be dinging all day long. He's like, yeah, but you won't forget it. So I'm just going to have him help me figure out how to do this, because I think that will be good.
If you look at there, my orange ones are my people that I need to follow up with those days. The rest is my kids and things, but the orange stuff is my customer care follow-up.
Okay. I love it. I've got to do it.
I forgot about that. So yeah, that's my organization.
Sorry, you said you cut out.
I just said organization is super important. You do have to be organized, or else it's a lot to remember, especially if you're a big recruiter.
All right. Well, I have loved everything, and I'm so glad we were able to record so that other people can hop on and then we can rewatch as well. But thank you again, Leah, for taking the time, and we're appreciative and willing to share the favor as well if you ever need us to. But thank you for that. And I hope you.
Bye, guys.
All right. See ya. All right, we are going to hop. Actually, that was so good. Does anyone have anything to mention or add on, or any questions or comments or takeaways? I loved it. I loved how she said to share your story more. I was just thinking, you know what? I don't know if I've ever made a before and after reel of like, here's my picture and like, here's mine now, and like talk about it. Like I've mentioned gut health a lot, but I was just thinking like, I don't share my story a ton because technically it's not allowed to say autoimmune disease. So I've got to figure out a way to say that without saying it, because that's what kind of holds me back from talking as much about it. But like, if you have a story, like millions of people have autoimmune diseases. So for me, I wouldn't want for people that could see that post, you know, or someone with anxiety, like millions of people have anxiety. So like literally it doesn't matter what your changes in your health, use it and like preach on it and say how you've changed and make that your brand, like add it to your like theme that you talk about in your Instagram, like make that part of your story, because then you're going to become somebody who with those problems is going to come to you for help. And I'm just like, oh my word, I share other people's stories a lot, but sometimes I forget how powerful our own story is, you know? So anyway, that was one of my stories. I was like, oh my goodness, I need to share it like every week. Like, why am I not doing that? You know? So
and like you can share in so many different ways. Like she mentioned like, okay, yes, anxiety, but then she mentioned like it was hard for her to go to the doctor's office. So like her being at the doctor's office, taking a picture and be like, oh my goodness, like this would not have hardly happened 2 months ago or whatever. Like just, you can use so many different scenarios in your day-to-day around the same topic, but shared a little bit differently. So I loved that idea. And also how cool, like I loved how she shared that after her first post, like she instantly went silver, but then she didn't do anything else for a whole, like she was on the products for a year and still silver. And then her sponsor encouraged her to go make another post. And then she went gold. And when she went gold, she caught the vision. And so like such a good reminder, like always be like cheering your people on, like encouraging them like to go share their wins of their health testimony. Because it took her until gold to catch the vision. Like, wow, that was really good.
we can sort our people by rank. And you might have, say you have 10 silvers in your back office. These people are still taking their products, but they haven't shared. They've never gone past their fast, like find 3 friends, like message them, ask them to share again. If they're still using the products, obviously, then they would they're loving them, you know? So ask what their recent health changes are and have them make a new post. Like she said, you never know. Someone who shared once has earned income. They know that the possibilities are there. They're still loving their products. So they obviously are seeing changes. So that they're right alone, like that alone is something enough for them to be able to share. So just getting really bold, sharing your story, asking others to share theirs. And then organization is really something strong that has come off of her sharing as well that I took away. So I'm really excited to just implement some of these things. I'm also going to message her and ask, I'm not sure how boards work, if you can like follow someone and then see all their boards, or if they have to like send you all their boards, but I'm going to ask her if she'd be willing to send me some of the links, and I'll share them in our team page as well for all of us that use boards. Feel free to follow her. I did add her page or her picture to our Diamond Bound chat. We're going to jump in.
Hey, Katie, really quick, can I do a few announcements first before the book study? Just to remind everyone really quick that we have the daily power hours. So today was the first day. Katie Burns led that one. I was not able to hop on because I was out on a date with my husband. He's been gone for like 8 days. But I plan to hopefully be on all the rest, because every day this week through Sunday, we have a power hour with the Jewel. So like Emily Burgess, Jordan Roddenberry, they're leading one. And I'm leading one. Callie Beal is leading one. She's an Emerald. I'm trying to think of everyone else on the list, but like from our 3 teams, we have a Jewel leading a power hour every day through Sunday. And that whole list of times is on that graphic on the team page and in the team chat. So you can like mark that on your phone. And then next Monday night, we're not doing a team Zoom because it's Halloween night. We're actually going to hop on an early morning power hour just to all hop on and work for like a solid hour. It's the last day of the month. We'll like give ideas of what we're doing to end the last day strong. And so that is going to be at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, which is 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. I'll have a graphic. And then the last thing is the stories event on Thursday. So that's at 8 p.m. Eastern, this Thursday. It's on a Facebook group. We have so many people doing amazing. Like so many of you all are having like all these yeses. I've seen you put your message examples in the thread when you're getting yeses, which is really exciting. I'm using this stories event to follow up with a few different like groups of people. So I'm using it to follow up with, well, I actually went to the stories and supplements page, went to the members list and went through. You can see who added who. And so I would go through and look to see who I had invited to the page to remind me of people that maybe I had added and forgotten to follow up with. And there was a girl, I just messaged her a few months ago because she had voted on a poll and she was interested, but then it never went anywhere, the conversation. And I forgot to follow up with her. That was a couple months ago. So I invited her and she's coming. Someone else who was like, oh, I know the finances are kind of, I'm not sure if I can afford that. Like I invited her, she's coming. And then I'm also inviting like inactives, people who maybe had talked about getting started again. I'm inviting them and getting some good responses. I'm inviting newbies to invite people too. So I'm saying, oh my goodness, like, hey, this event, because I know it's going to, one, be belief building for them to be at an event to see all these stories. And then two, it's just such an easy way for them to be like, oh mom, come to this. Like, this is what I started. I'm really excited about it. Maybe this is something you can benefit from too. So I'm just like dripping that like, hey, because, you know, most likely I've already at least opened the conversation for the opportunity and they maybe didn't go anywhere with it or whatever, but inviting newbies to it. And so those are kind of the groups I'm focusing on. Events are such a great way to have an excuse to follow up with someone, because sometimes it's like, oh, what do I say? Like, I feel like I've said all the things, but it's so easy to just be like, hey, like, totally, there's no pressure, but like, this might be something that you would really love to listen in on. And I had that script that's been working really well that I'm sending like the same thing to a lot of people because it's like 2 lines. It's like so short and sweet. And I've been getting lots of yeses from it. I'll put that in the chat again. But anyway, that's the announcements. Katie is going to lead our book study now. So if you're in the book study, stay on. If you want to hop off, you totally can. And even if you don't have the book, you're totally welcome to stay because the conversation is always really, really good in this book. I finally got mine in, you all. So I'm glad I'm not a liar because last week I was like, I promise we're doing it. So I have my book, yay. But it's been so good. I'm really excited. So, okay, Katie.
Hey, Katie, can I ask a quick question before you start?
Yeah.
Okay, Joanna, you mentioned like going to stories and supplements and adding or, you know, messaging those people that you added. What do you think about if we have people on our team who are no longer working the business who added people to that? Do you think that would be fine or too weird to message that people that we see that they have added?
No, I would totally message them.
Okay.
And like, it could even be if you, and if you don't know them,
Right.
Because you might know some of them because we have mutual friends, but like, if you don't, then you could even be like, hey, I know so-and-so had invited you to learn more about this and she doesn't do it anymore, but I didn't want you to, you know, to not have the support you needed in case you're wanting to do this. And if so many are looking for whatever, you know, but yeah, I totally would.
Okay.
Joe, did we end up last week I was traveling or I was somewhere I couldn't be on. Revival. Did you guys do first chapter, first 2, 3?
No, because my book hadn't come in. So we're like square A. Like,
okay.
We're brand
awesome.
new. Okay.
Okay. So we are supposed to have finished chapter 6. It isn't a very short read. So if you're behind,
I think we're actually through chapter 3 still.
okay.
Just because I didn't start last week.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'm ahead. So that's awesome. Okay. So the first chapter, The Beach Bum and the Millionaire. So good. Let me look through it and find anything that if you have something that you have underlined and pulled out, share it. I loved so much. I've been reading it and I can't put it down and I can't wait to like implement so many things.
I think,
go ahead.
I was going to say like what like jumped out at me like right away was where he said, I didn't know it yet, but just working harder doesn't do it. And I was really encouraged by that because I've been I even like with my coach, like I've been getting coached with Jessica Heffley and something we talked about where I'm like, I'm working so hard and I don't know, I feel like something's starting to click where it doesn't always matter necessarily how hard you're working if you're not like doing all the right things or being intentional with the time that you have. And so I don't know, like I guess that just made me feel really hopeful. Like, okay, maybe there is a way where you can like work less, but still have a really successful business.
Something that I took out of this first chapter was just the fact that the things that got us to where we are today are the things that are going to continue to get us to our next step. The problem is a lot of us stop them, we forget. And I've told Joe this recently, like, I feel like I forget some of the things that we did to even get to like Ruby or Senior Gold. Like, I don't remember. It's been so long and it's been like forever. It's completely different dimension when your team is huge versus just like 1 or 2 people working. And the things that you do then, you have different time frame for, but then sometimes we just stop doing them. Like, we just stop, like, just, you forget. And it said the very same activities that had rescued me from failure, that had carried me from failure line up to the survival line, would also rescue me from average and carry me from the survival line to the success line if I would just keep doing them. And I think that's a lot of things. Reading on to the finishing chapter 6, it talked about how, and this is in the future, but like a lot of people are looking for the lottery ticket in life. The problem is our life isn't a lottery, and we're not going to have a big breakthrough. It should be celebration of every little baby step that it took us to get to where we are now. Like he mentioned, the man on the moon, one small step for mankind, giant step, whatever. But it wasn't a small step. It was a million steps prior to that even got Neil Armstrong on the moon. It took a man who even started thinking about creating a rocket that could withstand going up into space. Like, hundreds of people, you don't even know who those people are, but they took all those baby steps that carried him all the way to there. So just remembering that it's not an overnight big break. It's not a 60-day switch around, you're going to lose 100 pounds. It's little steps and changes that we're doing every single day that compiled to being life-changing. And like, that's something that I'm just really taking away from this book, is that simple, productive actions repeated consistently over time is the slight edge that we want. So out of the chapter 1, that's some things that I took from it, is just like little steps, little actions are not little. They're actually really big deals. And sometimes we want to overlook them, but that's what's really going to make us successful. Anyone else have something out of chapter 1 that they liked?
One of the statements that I really focused on was, just because you're average doesn't mean you're doomed to average results. And that was really encouraging too, because I've always felt very average to know that it's the average results isn't what I'm doomed to. So, and then we have a tendency to sabotage ourselves because we don't think we deserve success. So just switching that mindset.
Yes, I underlined that same average statement at the top of 8, the bottom of 7. Number 2, chapter 2 was about the first ingredient.
Wait, can I read this really quick from chapter 1?
Yeah.
Because I loved it so much. It says, the things that take you out of failure and up toward survival and success are simple. So simple, in fact, that it's easy to overlook them. Extremely easy to overlook them. It's easy to overlook them because when you look at them, they seem insignificant. They're not big, sweeping things that take huge effort. They're not heroic or dramatic. Mostly they're just little things that you do every day and that nobody else even notices. They are things that are so simple to do, yet successful people actually do them, while unsuccessful people only look at them and don't take action. And I love that, because I think we all do. I do this like probably every single day, where I'm like, I should do this. I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. And then sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. But like something so little, like shouting someone out in your stories, or I don't know, just like random little thing, following up with that person, or making your list, or making a post. So like those little things that probably won't matter if I don't do it today, but it does matter because it all adds up to those huge wins. So I love that.
Joanna.
Yeah, and I loved when on page 3, I went back and read it probably 6 times this week, is I didn't change who I was as much as I changed what I did. I didn't change who I am, because no matter what the gurus and therapists might tell you, I don't believe any of us can really do that. I mean, we are who we are. Because that my motto through all this is to be genuine and to be authentic. And a lot of the things we do, posting, copy, paste, is not really who I am. So I loved that. It was so freeing. I love that.
Anyone else on chapter 1? It's such a good book. Like, even if you don't have the book, get on the call. Like, this is just, it's so good to hear takeaways as well. All right, chapter 2, the first ingredient, do the thing and you shall have the power is the quote. I underlined several things in this chapter. There's just a lot.
Did anybody else catch the Nikes just do it? That's in there. Like, hey, that's appropriate.
Yeah, I was like, Nikes. Something it said, I love the takeaways at the end of each chapter because it literally does summarize the chapter. So if you didn't underline in your book or you don't want to, go to the essentials page or essential points. The third one, this is something that I feel like Joe says a lot. Maybe not in this exact, but successful people fail their way to the top. Just do the little things, like do the things, you shall have the power. That's the slight edge isn't some magical thing. It's not a magic potion. It's just a pile of little bitty things that you're slowly accumulating that creates you being like basically 1 out of 5% of the people in the world only do. And 95% just won't. That's why 19 out of 20 people are going to quit. It's only 1 person out of 20 who's going to say, never mind, I'm going to do this every day, even if I don't want to. And it's not that it's easier for them. Like he said, it's not like they got a big break. It's just that they just did the thing every day when no one saw it. And that's like really encouraging to me because I've been wanting to get back into the gym. It's something that really plagues me because it's not like I'm like grossly overweight or like I am out of shape terribly, but it's not horrible. But I know for me mentally, I need to go to the gym. Like I know I feel better. And I told Joanna yesterday I was reading and I was like, I looked back at my business and the times when my business was its best, I was going to the gym every day. And it just hit me that like something about taking care of myself and feeling good empowered me to work better, apparently, because when we were like going before COVID, our gym didn't shut down. We were working out every day. I was in the best, probably fit shape of my life when I ranked up Sapphire. Prior to that was like just in the past, when I got into good routines of doing stuff for myself. And I noticed lately that like, I don't know when I've been to the gym, I have not done anything self-care wise for a very long time. And I feel like that maybe it somehow for me, it coincides with how my business is successful. And I'm like, if, I can be working all the things, but maybe just for me personally, I don't know, somehow when I work out, my business does better. So when I get home from California, like my first step, I'm going back to the gym. So please hold me accountable, y'all. Because I feel like looking over things like that is something I feel like weighs on me, but when I'm doing it, I feel really empowered. And so if there's something that you can think back on, like, wow, when I got up early and I actually did my work when I first woke up before the kids, like that's when my business was the best. Well, then get back to it. Like, is it going to be easy? No, it's not. And I hate that. I hate waking up early. I hate disciplining myself to go to bed. But if that's something that like, or maybe staying up late after your kids are in bed and you're not stressed out by housework, and you can actually get things done and you can hear yourself think, then take the extra hour, ask your husband, is it okay if I, get back up after the kids go to bed and just do my thing? If that's when you can do it. Like, that's something that has stood out to me. Is just like, what was it that little steps that I used to take that like, even though I'm doing the same kind of work, something's different and it's mindset, a lot of it. But for me personally, it's like, I'm going to get back to the gym and see what happens. So you guys watch and see what happens. So that was a takeaway for me. Just like, you have that's the slight edge that I'm missing. I think it's just pouring into myself physically to empower me to work better throughout the day.
I mean, it makes sense because when you're like your wellness affects like your mental and your focus and all that. And Jordan Roddenberry always says, like, if your business isn't where you want it to be, like something's out of whack, either in like your home, your marriage, like it doesn't have to do with your business necessarily. You could still be doing all the right things, but if something is off, it could totally be something outside of your business. And so that totally makes sense to me. Like if that is what, helped. And so prioritizing like your wellness, not just, I don't know, but I love that.
Chapter 3 was on the choice. And like I was just saying, it's just the principle. You have the choice to choose if you want to do the hard thing, or if you want to be the 19 people out of 20. If you want to be the one person that's different, then you have to choose things differently every day. And yeah, this chapter was super good. What does anyone have out of here? I'm sure you have takeaways.
Okay, I'll share. I loved the frog story.
Yeah.
That like, it was kind of comical, but like, that I think is what has stood out to me. And as I've read this book, and he'll reference it, several times. But just knowing that if you just keep going and you just keep doing those small things every day, you're not going to necessarily see it now. The frog just, swam around and around and around and around and didn't think anything was happening, but underneath things were happening. And it's when he didn't quit doing that things happened. And so I think just being encouraged and knowing that if you just keep going, and we hear it all the time, as long as you don't, like, you can only fail if you quit, which is easy to say, but when you're like in the thick of it, it's really hard to like remember, and it's hard to like stay positive about, because you're like, what do you mean I am failing? But you're not. Things are actually happening. They're just not happening at the time that you want. And Katie kind of referenced it, but like he does say later, he talks about there's like no magic breakthrough. It's all like little steps that have happened. And so this, the one quote he says in here, well, this one he's talking about the father's gift in that story, but he says, having faith in the process of simple positive actions repeated over time, the faith that miracles do happen if you know when to trust the process and keep churning the cream. And so like just trusting the process, trusting that those things that you're doing, you're going to see a difference and you're going to see change. It just isn't going to necessarily happen right away, because there's no lottery ticket. It's going to take those repetitive motions over and over, like the little frog swimming, and he finally made butter. So I just love that story.
All three stories in this chapter, the one about the flower, like I've heard the illustration about if you take $1 million, or you take the penny that duplicates itself. And of course, so I knew that story, but I hadn't heard the other two. And it's just like, it's so true. We all want the easy way. And here's the thing. And again, since I read to chapter 6, my mind was kind of there because I just finished chapter 6 today. And so, but he talks about how everyone wants to look over and applaud the person that made the big break. But like literally, it wasn't even making a big break. It was them practicing every single day and them not giving up, them giving up free time to go swim and practice their shooting hoops or swimming so they could, beat the world record in Olympics. Like, it was not just one race in Olympics that made that person great. It was them never giving up all the way there for years. And he mentions how like 5 years in our life, like how does that, in the grand scheme of things, it's not very long. It's not. Look where we were 5 years ago and think about how far you can be in 5 years if you don't stop. And that was really encouraged to me. And we do have the choice. We have the choice to, like it says at the beginning, I guess it comes down to a simple choice, really. You get busy living or you get busy dying. And it's true. It's sobering, but like we have the choice. We've been empowered by this opportunity. We have something that's literally limitless in Plexus as far as financially. We have a gift. We have products that actually work. They actually change lives. They actually make people's lives better. Like, why wouldn't we continue to share them? Like, that just makes my heart so happy that we're not selling lipstick. We're not selling spatulas. We're not selling shampoo, which they're all great things that I want to use every day and love. But they don't change lives, not really. And our products do. They get people off the couch. They get people to be able to go travel when their anxiety is better. Like, they change lives. And so I just feel like the Lord has given such a gift in our company, and it's up to us to steward that. And if we are consistent, like Ashley mentioned, like it will happen. Like, and it's not like it will magically happen, but if we plant the seed and we're waiting, then we will be ready when the harvest comes, versus planting 100 seeds today and walking away for 3 months and then being like, well, where's my harvest? Well, it's overgrown with weeds. It didn't grow anything because you left it. But if you stay and you cultivate it and you water it and you feed it, those results in that harvest is going to come. And like, I don't know, this book has been amazing. Honestly, I just feel very like it just is so good. Joe, thank you so much for suggesting this book. Anyone else on chapter 3 before we end? Anyone? So since we started a couple weeks late due to everybody's books being insanely late, I don't really know what that was about, but we're dividing this up originally to do 3 chapters a week. Do we want to stick with being done with chapter 6 by next week? Was that kind of what we were thinking, Joe?
So actually I forgot I was going to look at my calendar really quick and just divide them up before this call. Let me see how many Mondays we have left. So we're not going to be next Monday. So we have Out of the year, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the last Monday of the month is Christmas. Wait, the day after Christmas? Yeah, the day after Christmas. So we probably won't. I don't know if we'll do. Should we do it? I don't know. Anyway, we at least have 7, if not 8 calls left. So what is that divided by 15? Like 2 a day, maybe 2 a week, I meant.
Yeah, and then the last week we could do 3 chapters, or we could do 3 chapters this week and the rest do 2. It doesn't matter, either one.
Yeah, let's just do 2 a week. I think that sounds good.
Okay, so be through chapter 5 by next week. If you've already read it, feel free to go back through and underline some things so you have something to share. Also, just reading, like he even said that. I meant to underline that, but in one of the chapters he said, underline the things that are sticking out to you right now so that in the future you can always run back through the book and read all of those things that have stood out to you so that you don't have to read the whole book, but you can remember the things that you were growing from and that you could take and apply and share that with other people. I know I'm going to share some things in a post later on today. When I make a post, I'm going to like share some of the things that I've just pulled out of here that I feel like could be applied by anyone who's in life, you know, or searching for something different for themselves. But
yeah, I think that's so good. Like to remember as a leader, like when you learn something, go, like, don't just keep it to yourself. Go, oh yeah, there's the picture. Go share it with someone on your team and then your network. So share it with like those 2 different groups of people because you're adding value to your network that's outside of like gut health, you know, adding value to your network and then your team too. And even if you don't think, I was listening to this poem today. So good. I can't wait to share it with you all. I'm going to share it on my Power Hour on Sunday. It was like the most incredible poem, but she was like in this crowd. It was like this random thing for her to get picked. She was at a conference and she had everyone stand up and like who loved poetry. And then everyone who wrote their own poetry stay standing. And then everyone who wrote their own poetry and could quote it to stay standing. And so then she picked like some random person from the crowd to come up and ask if they would quote one of their poems. And she was like, and she was ready, prepared, she quoted it. And like, so me as this person, she doesn't even know I exist. Like I was so moved by her poem that she was faithful to like be a good steward of, and then to go share it, even though maybe she doubted herself. Maybe she doubted like if anyone would get anything from it or whatever. And so I think it's just a good reminder, like, don't be selfish to keep like it to yourself, because maybe you'll doubt, like maybe they'll reject you. That's my thing. Like I hate rejection. So maybe they'll reject you, or maybe you won't get any feedback or whatever. And so then you don't share something, and this can apply to like so many things. And then we're robbing someone else of like something that they might have gotten from that. And so like a friend of mine shared this poem with me today. It was so good. And like, I already shared it with other people. And so it's like traveling around. And so you never know like what you share to someone that they'll be able to share with someone, and that they'll be able to share with someone. And then it impacts like this person who knows where that you'll never even know existed, but because you were like, you had the boldness to go share that. So sorry, that was kind of long, but just go share what you're learning with people.
Well, and you never know who's praying for something, and that knowledge shared or that encouragement or opportunity shared is going to be the thing that stands out to them. If they've been praying, that like literally could become their sign to do it or say yes or whatever. Because I know I'm like that. If I've been praying about something and then I find something there, it stands out to me, you know? So, all right, everyone. I've loved, Joanna.
So did you say we're doing the call next Monday, but not Monday? When do we the book study?
Yeah, right. So there's no team call next Monday because of Halloween. We're doing like a Power Hour that morning instead. But we have 7 more total team calls for the year. So we kind of just like divided it. So we'll just be through like chapter 5, I guess in 2 weeks. Yeah. I'm glad you said that because I forgot about that.
November 7th thing, whatever that date is. Like November 6th or 7th or whatever it is, then plan to be on chapter 5 that date. So we have 2 weeks to get 2 chapters. So y'all got this if you haven't read it. And feel free to read ahead too, but for sure. All right. Thank you all. We'll make this available to be shared if you have anybody in your team who wasn't able to jump on. If you've got anyone on your team who has not bought this book, like you guys encourage them. If you live near them, let them read your copy. It's going to help your team. Do a book study after we're done with this book study and for your team, because I feel like you can't overshare this book. Like there's too much in it that everyone can apply, no matter what rank, no matter what. If you started yesterday, you could read this book and be grown from it. So anyways, I'm excited about it. All right. We will let you all go. I'm going to go message Leah right now and ask if she'd be willing to share some boards. So if she sends those over, be watching for them in our chat and I will send them. So
Good night, everybody.
see you later, y'all.
Mom.